Welcome back, everyone. Amy Banner's back with us today. She's a naturalist. This is Johnny Appleseed Metro Park District. We're talking about something I know very little about, ferns. I know they're a thing, and I know we have them around here. But first of all, tell us what those are.
Yeah, so ferns are, of course, plants. But when you think of a plant, you probably think of that flowering plant. And so that typical life cycle of a flowering plant where you have the seed and then you put it in the soil, it grows, it starts to germinate, it'll get a little bit bigger, and then it's going to flower, and then that flower turns into a fruit, which then holds the seed. So if you've ever looked at a fern, though, they actually don't have any flowers. So that type of flower is called a flowering plant or a fruiting plant. If you want to get scientific, it's called an angiosperm. But like I said, ferns aren't that. They don't have that flower, and they actually don't even have seeds. So they're a little bit unusual. If you go back in time, maybe to like the 1800s, because they didn't have that seed, people didn't really know a whole lot about them. So they started making a bunch of things up about it. They thought that maybe the seed was invisible, and then therefore the plant itself had this special property. I don't know exactly how it worked. I don't know if you had to eat it or just rub up against it, but it would then turn you invisible too, right? That would be amazing. But again, that's not true. They actually needed to look at this fern underneath the microscope before they were able to identify the seed. So if you take a fern, if you find a fern out in the wild here, and turn it upside down on the underside of the leaf, you can find these tiny little dots there. And then within those dots, that's where the spore is actually going to be held. So similar to a mushroom, this fern is going to create more ferns by spores. And so if you've ever seen that puffball mushroom and you just kind of squeeze it, then all these spores come up and go everywhere. It's similar to a fern. They hold them in just these tiny little dots on the underside of it. So that's how they're going to reproduce.
Oh, that's interesting. I never know. I think I have actually seen those, and I thought it was some kind of weird fungus or something. But that's interesting to know that's where the spore. Okay, so you went back to the 1800s. How far back do ferns go? When do we know that ferns were around?
Yeah, great question. So millions and millions of years ago, this fern has been around. If you think of even like dinosaurs, they've been around when the dinosaurs were roaming. So you think of a T-Rex kind of stomping along and it's going to stomp on a fern. But as a T-Rex is going to eat other dinosaurs, maybe like a Triceratops, the cool thing is that Triceratops is going to be eating plants. So it's going to be eating that fern. So when you find a fern out in the wild, you're actually looking at dinosaur food. So I think that's super cool. You're not going to find another dinosaur out here, but you will find food in the form of a fern.
That is so cool. I love that fun fact. The other thing I think about, I don't know anything about ferns until you told me, but then I assume that they're providing shelter for birds and they're doing some of the same things that other plants and trees do.
That's right. Yeah. So especially right now, we're not seeing a whole lot of plants out here, maybe some evergreens or maybe some of the ones that are just starting to fall over or die. But ferns are going to be around in definitely this time of year in the autumn. But then they're also going to survive some of there's like an evergreen fern, too. So we're going to have it out in the wintertime as well. So if you take a walk now, you might come across a fern, and then you can look at that dinosaur food out there.
I love that, too. Yeah, dinosaur. Well, we have to assume, I guess, if they've been around that long, they're going to be around for a long time more, right?
Yeah.
So they'll be around there. Okay. I love the fact that we got information today on ferns. I knew nothing about them. Now I'm going to throw out these facts as if they were my own party starters. Yeah, we love it. Amy, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. Nice chatting with you. We'll be back right after this.